Hey guys, welcome back to KY Coins and Collectibles. And in today's video, what I want to talk about is some of the biggest mistakes I have made in my coin collecting career, or since I've been coin collecting. These are kind of some of the things I wish I knew that I could have prevented from happening and ultimately costing me a lot of money in the long run. I have kind of put a list together of some of the things that, looking back over my coin collecting or numismatic career, as you can say, or ever since I've really been collecting coins, these are kind of some of the mistakes I've made, and I just want to kind of put this video together to help you all in your career or your journey while collecting, or maybe even stacking, or just kind of to help you out, because I wish I knew then what I did now about a lot of stuff, especially when it comes to collecting and why I collected or how I collected and the things I bought or wish I wouldn't have bought. Or so I just figure I may be able to help you out. I know I have a lot of people on this channel, young, old, new to expert. I mean, there's a lot of ranges of people that follow me and subscribe, and I love hearing from everybody, so I appreciate all the comments, and I try to get to everybody. And I learn stuff too. You all teach me so much. Y'all are experts in fields that I'm not, so I'm not a know-it-all. I don't know everything about coin collecting or stacking. I'm just like you all. I love what I do, and I like making videos, and I've been doing it for a while. There's a lot of y'all that's not been doing it as long as me, or have been doing it longer, and you still know more than I do. So I learn a lot from y'all in the comments, and I love just communicating with people and reading their comments and trying to learn stuff. So I appreciate it, and I really appreciate you all liking my videos and just staying with me on this journey I've got going on. So please just like, share, and subscribe. It really helps out, and it lets me know y'all like what I'm doing, because I really enjoy it, and I love bringing you all along with me. So today's video, I'm not only going to talk about some of the mistakes I've made, I'm going to show you some of my personal collection. And a lot of this stuff I have been collecting for 20 years. I've really only been hard into coin collecting for about 15 years. My parents were, mom and dad, they all had coins. Some of my family members have been, so I've always been around it. Been very fortunate to get turned on to it at a younger age. But that kind of hurt me as well, because I kind of just did what they did, and I didn't really educate myself. So so with that being said, I'm going to get started. I'm going to show you some of my stuff, and this is a big 3-ring binder. It's a 5-inch 3-ring binder, and to me this is kind of where coin collecting started. This is some of the stuff I've collected over the years, and I've just kind of built it up, and then I built it up, then I built it out. So what I mean is, this is how I started collecting. I've started putting albums together. I've started stacking. I've started collecting different type of stuff, different coins, different precious metals. But this is pretty much where it started. So I just wanted to show you all kind of where it started for me, and this is it. So as I talk about the mistakes I've made, I just wanted to show you some of my coins. So bear with me. I will get distracted. And I know the light is really bright, so I'm sorry about the poor lighting. Kind of just all I have right now. I'll go through this pretty fast. I've got a lot a lot here. And to me, this is like amazing, because every time I pull up to a flea market and you walk in and you see these 3-ring binders full of old coins, that's what I love. I mean, that's one, I just love it. When you go to a yard sale or flea market, pawn shop, or anything, and you see a 3-ring binder with flips in it, and these flips and these clear little cases, I just love it. I'm like, man, here I go. I dive in and find what I like and hope to get a good deal on it. So with that being said, the biggest mistake I have made in my coin collecting journey, career, call it what you want, is just paying too much for stuff. That's my problem. I have paid way too much for stuff, and it's because I have probably gotten emotionally attached to stuff. I've liked a coin, and I've maybe never seen it before, and I thought it was worth more than what it was. So I didn't really know grades. I didn't know a lot about coins. And when you're first getting into a hobby and you start seeing all this new stuff, you just want to buy it all. Like you see something, you like it. And it wasn't until I was older that I didn't know about 3-cent pieces or 2-cent pieces or large cents. I just didn't really know anything about it. So when I was younger, it was all new to me. I was buying a lot of stuff, a lot of volume, and not a lot of quantity. So that's kind of a couple things right there. But the main thing is watch what you pay for stuff. I didn't know grades. I didn't know detail grades. I didn't know if a coin was cleaned. If it was shiny, it looked new. I didn't know like if it had original luster or if it was cleaned. I didn't really know a lot of that stuff. And it's still, sometimes it's hard. It's hard to tell a clean coin sometimes. You've got to look at it from different angles. You've got to flip it over. You got to get a scope on it. And it wasn't until just a couple years ago that I had a magnifying glass to look at them. So, I mean, for 10 plus years coin collecting, I didn't even have a scope or a loop or anything. So that tells you a lot right there. Just, I wasn't really educated. So educate yourself. If you like a coin, check it out, get pictures of it, get online, go to eBay, look at the sold items, go to PCGS, NGC, Gray Sheet. There's so many things out there, so many resources to look at and try to find a value of a coin. So use your resources, and you can avoid paying too much for a coin. On this page, I've got some of my large cents, and I love the large cents. I love all this 1800 type stuff. And you'll see there's a lot of stuff missing. I've had all these full. I've either moved them to another album, because I do have a large cent album, and I do have a type set now that took a lot of my type coins out. Type coins have just been harder for me to find in my area. And like I've said before in some of my videos, I live in an area where there is not a lot of coin shops. I mean, I've got to drive 45, 50 minutes to the first coin shop. And so the only way I really get to buy coins is flea market, pawn shop, eBay, or just somebody knows I collect and they say, well, my granny had a big collection, or so-and-so collected, or I knew some of other coin collectors in the area. That's really it. I don't have a lot of coin shops to go to, which, not saying they're the best, but if you're looking for a particular coin, they they're very helpful. They can help hunt you one down or try to get you a good deal if you're in a certain price range, and just become friends with them and know them. That way, if you're on good communication basis and you find a coin, you may be able to text them and say, "Hey, I'm looking at this coin. What's your opinion on it?" But you really need to know the coins for yourself. Do your research. Like I said, look up all the different resources that you have, eBay, PCGS, but you still need to know cleaned or a damaged coin and the grade, what grade it is. So get you a grade book. You can pick up a book that tells you each coin and the different grades of all that, like each grade of that specific coin. That's very handy, because a lot of these coins, when you go from a extra fine or say an extra fine to AU, you could be talking thousands of dollars depending on the coin. And this is a good example here. And I'd bought this one at a flea market. They had very fine red book, $225. It's an 1824 bust half. And I love the bust design on any coin and the seated design. Those are my favorite. So when something's your favorite, you're usually going to maybe pay a little more for it. So you have to be careful when you get kind of emotionally attached to coins in that manner. So if you like something a lot, you're going to spend money for it, and you may spend too much. So just be careful. This coin, it's got good details, and I'll try to let you all see it. It's shiny. It looks nice. Some may say, to the untrained eye, they may say, well, it's really in good shape, which it is. It's got good details left on it, but it's been cleaned. So they didn't price it as a clean coin. They just priced it as a problem-free VF, which it's not, which I didn't pay $225 for it. I probably paid half that, or I usually buy stuff 20 to 40% under what it's stickered at, just depending on what they've got in it and what they're wanting to let go on it. So that's a good example. Just know clean coins and problem coins. And it's taken me years to figure out, and I still get it wrong. And I've watched a lot of YouTube videos. I've subscribed to everybody, and they do the same thing. They send in coins that they think are problem free, and they get it back details grade. And that happens. I think it happens to everybody. So, and you're talking people that have done it for 40, 50 years. But used to, I mean, they didn't even have a problem coin. It was, oh, you bought, that's a really nice coin. They didn't have detail grades until they started grading them. So a lot of people didn't really see cleaned or damaged grades on, like, didn't really know coins were problem coins until they started getting graded. So you just really have to know what you're buying, because it can be the difference of a $200 coin or a $100 coin. And if you're looking to buy the coin, which leads this to my next point, is knowing why you're buying something. So if you're looking to buy this coin and they've got it priced at $250 and they've got it graded as extra fine plus, which it is nice, it's got good details left on it. If you're looking to buy this coin at $200, but it actually is a detail coin, and you're lucky to get $150 out of it, I mean, you've not made any money. You may have to sit on it for 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, and that's a long time to sit on $100. You could have bought something else that's gone up, appreciated a lot quicker. I mean, would you rather start below what it's worth or at what it's worth? So, or above what it's worth. You can pick. So just be careful when you're buying stuff. Know the grades, the conditions, and I just love the bust design. I'll try to, and that one's been polished hardcore. And they are these bust dimes, or I've got bust dimes back here, but these bust halves, they are a little more expensive, and they're old. Like I said, I love these type coins. They're my favorite. I've got some bust dimes here, some start of my seated quarters. I love the seated quarters and anything with the seated design. Here I got an older Rosa Americana 1723. I'd got that not too long ago, but it's an early colonial King George I. It's really neat. I love the early colonial stuff, and really just the history of going from the early colonial to the colonies to the first mint, and that kind of whole process, going from the 1600s to the late 1700s when the first mint started, and then the first few coins of the early 1800s. I love that kind of time frame. This page, I've got a bunch of bust dimes, and a lot of these I've bought over the last 2 to 3 years, maybe 4 years. So the price, you can kind of see some of the prices on some of this. If you want, you can pause the video and check it out. And these bust half dimes are so tiny. They're a little bigger than the trimes, but I just can't imagine packing this thing around in your pocket in the early 1800s. If you're out working in the field or doing something, how do you keep that in your pocket? There's just no way. I can't even keep up with my keys, let alone a little tiny coin the size of my nail, pinky nail. So, with that being said, know why you collect something. So I have paid too much for coins, and I have basically bought coins not really knowing what I'm going to do with it. So when you're buying something, know what you're going to do with it. And what I mean is, like, are you going to buy this coin thinking that you're going to turn around and sell it the next day and make a few dollars? Or are you going to hold on to it and try to sell it in the future? Or are you trying to put a set together? Just ask yourself, why am I buying this coin? And it's okay to be like, you know what, I like it. It's an awesome design. I like it. I like these coins. I think they're undervalued. I think the value on these earlier 1800 stuff is actually, I think it'll go up in the future. They have a lot lower mintages than any of the newer stuff. So that was one reason I like to buy them. And they're just an awesome design, and I love the history behind it. On this page, I've got some shield nickels and some 2-cent pieces. And when I started, I didn't really know what the 2-cent piece was. I didn't know the trimes or the silver 3-cent piece, or there was a nickel 3-cent piece. I kind of just learned about it as I went through my collection journey. But when I first started, I really didn't know. I'd always heard people say, what's your 2 cents? Or who asked for your 2 cents? And they actually made a 2-cent piece. And a lot of people don't know that outside of the coin world. So, I mean, but this one's actually not in too bad of shape. To find one in good shape, it needs to say "we," like it on. There's a ribbon above the shield. It says "In God We Trust." The "we" is directly in the center top part of the coin, and it's the highest part of the coin. So normally the highest part of the coin will wear down when it comes in contact with wire or when it's been circulated. So if you can find a 2-cent piece that has the "we" in it, it's a better grade. It's a lot better grade. But this one's got a little bit of details left. It's not in bad shape at all. They're really hard. These older dark coins are hard to pick up on camera. So I really liked those. And like I said, I really like just any old coin from the 1800s. And I really fell victim to liking them and not having a purpose for them. So that's why I've got an album full, and I've got boxes full of just random coins, and I really don't have a lot of purpose for them except to maybe one day sell and hopefully get my money back out of them. Here's a shield nickel, and it's got a counter stamp on it. It's a big T, one on the back. And the shield nickels are so cool, and I don't even think I have a really good one with in high grade. During the Civil War and the years after, I mean, a lot of these coins went through a lot of hard times there in the late 1800s. But I really like the design. There's the back. And the back of it, the design reminds me of like an old circus or a fair token with the stars around the 5. So I think that's really a cool design. So, and I'll flip through a bunch here kind of real fast. And I've had these in this album forever. I've had this album. It started out about like an inch thick, and then as I bought more and more and more, it got thicker and thicker. And really the main things I keep in this 3-ring binder is my just older type coins. And there for a while I went on a type coin binge. Every time I seen a type coin, I'd buy something. So, and in doing so, I probably paid what they were worth or too much for them. And I'll show you, there's a lot of examples in here. And that really comes down to where I live. Don't have a lot of places to buy coins. Here's an 1877 CC, and it is wore out. But again, I bought this because I liked seeded coinage, seeded dollars, seeded quarters, and you can barely make out the CC, and that thing is really wore. But just think of like where all that has been. Like that thing has circulated a lot. And I do honestly think these older type coins, the value will go up in the long run because they're all low mintages. They're not making any more of them. They're silver. So, and silver's gone up. I mean, it's around $32 now, so it has really gone up in the last week. This one's really nice, got some dark toning and some color around it. I don't know if it'll pick up, but 1873 seeded quarter. It's got some good detail left on it. Now that's like an all original. I love that original look to these coins. Like, if all my coins looked like that, I would not be disappointed. It's not the best grade, but it's got some good character to it. which I do like better grade stuff, of course, and they do bring a better premium. Got some barber halves, and barber halves have really gone up in value over the last few years. And I've noticed since I've been collecting and getting more into the numismatic world that different coins will be hot at certain times. So like a while back, I noticed everybody really liked really nice Walking Liberty $half. So like if you had a nice Walking Liberty $half, you could get like a premium out of it because they were just really popular and hot at the time. So numismatic coins come in waves. Like I've noticed that one year barber halves will be popular. One year seeded halves will be popular, and or cap bust will be popular, or buffalo nickels. There for a while, buffalo nickels, if you had one in good shape, it was bringing an extra 30%. So they do come in. It comes in cycles. Got a couple nice. Let me try to find a nice seeded $half because I really like those. And they all really hold their value. As long as you didn't pay something way too much for it, you're going to have your value still in the coin. You just can't buy really bad polished or scratched. That's know your grades, know your condition. So these seeded $half are really nice. I just love that design. And there's one that's been polished, which it's got good details left on it. It's just been cleaned. I know the light is really bright and they're harder to see, but I'll move on here. And whenever I've been buying this stuff, I told you I was buying a lot of volume of stuff. And that's kind of something I really couldn't help part of the time, because sometimes I would just be like, okay, I want all the seeded $half because I just love them. I've got the extra money, and I was just buying all of them. If they were wore out or in decent shape or holes in them, like one of them that's hoed, and I was just buying them all. But another thing in buying the volume is whenever you're buying a coin collection off somebody, and this one would be really nice if it didn't have that big scratch or cross, like somebody had put a big cross or an X there, and that one would be a pretty nice coin. It's got good details on it, but it has a big scratch, so it's a details coin. It's not a straight graded coin. But when I was buying these big collections, I would see a couple coins that I like out of this collection, and I'd be like, okay, I like these coins, but the seller wants to sell their whole collection. You can't just be like, okay, I want to buy that seeded $half, and they'll be like, well, I'm really looking to sell all of it. How about you just give me this much more for the rest of it? I want to sell all of it. And then you're like, okay, to get this coin, you basically have to buy this $100 coin, you have to buy $500 worth of other stuff that doesn't sell good. And it's normally face value stuff. Like people will have a hoard load of bicentennial quarters or face value Kennedys, like 1972 Kennedys, or they will have a bunch of newer modern stuff that is only face value, and they'll think that it's worth a lot. or Ike dollars. They'll have a bag of Ike dollars thinking they're $4 or $5 a piece. They're not. I know they do make silver ones that are like 40%, but most of the time they're just regular Ike dollars. And they'll have like 100 of them. So, I mean, if they got 100 Ike dollars or 50, the face value is 50 or 100, whatever they have, but they'll want $2 to $5 a piece. So now you've doubled or tripled the value of it, and you have to negotiate and kind of explain to them, well, they're not silver, or they're just face value right now, or $1.25 to $1.50 is the max. And a lot of times they don't really understand that because they got these coins off their grandpa and he had them for 50 years and they think they're worth a lot, and they're not. But they still want to sell you the whole collection, and they'll have proof sets. And I have got proof sets stacked up to the ceiling because everybody has proof sets in their collection, either birth years or they bought them at the bank in the 90s or in 2000s. Like whenever proof sets were selling hot, everybody was buying them. So every collection I buy, there was always a box or at least 10 proof sets. So, and proof sets, they can, depend on if they're silver, and most of the time they're not silver. It's just your regular clad proof sets. Normally from the late 70s to early 90s is what I see. And people think they're worth $15, $20, and they're not. $5, $10 in that range, depending on what they are, the year. Normally $5. But when you've got 10 of them, you've got $50. Or if they've got 20 of them, you've got $100 worth. So that adds up. And when I only wanted a portion of the collection, I mean, you like to cherry pick your collections, but most of the time people want to sell you the whole collection, and you really just have to buy it, and just because they don't want to sell you this one coin, they want to sell you their whole collection because they need a couple $100 versus they don't need $30, they need $300. So they're going to sell you everything. And that's really how I've bought most of my stuff, is just through collections. And I've showed you in previous videos, and you can look through my other videos. I've showed you a couple of the bigger collections I've bought, and I've been very fortunate to get some of the ones I have. But I've been doing this for 15, 20 years, and I have spent a lot of money on coins, and still have a lot of money tied up. Like, my value is still here, and it's going up. Like I said, silver has gone up. A lot more people are into numismatic stuff now. Got a couple nice Benjis here. And some of them, the light is so bright, some of them look polished. And they're hard to see. But the Benjis are really cool. And I've got some more modern stuff in here too. I had a couple 1970 Kennedys down here. They're a little harder to find out of the 40%ers. There's a proof 1969, some 64s, and like I said, I've had these in here for a long time, years. So know what you're buying, know the condition. Don't pay too much. Ask yourself why you're buying something, what you're going to do with it. Are you collecting? Are you looking to resell? Are you saving it for your family, your kids? Are you putting albums together? Just ask yourself, why am I buying this coin? And back to the volume thing, like out of all the collections I've bought, I've had to buy big collections to get a few good things out of it. They want to sell me the whole thing for me to get a few good items out of it. And that's been okay because I've tried not to pay too much or less than what the volume of it is. I've had to really calculate what the big volume items are in the collection so I won't lose on them, and then I price in my big item. Like if there is a really nice Standing Liberty quarter in this collection, and here's a nice 1929 SLQ. If I'm trying to get this coin out of, say it's $100 collection, and he's wanting $20 for this, well, like I said, I've got to make sure I do okay on the rest, the $70-$80 stuff that I really don't want to get this $20 item or $15 item. I got to make sure I don't get burnt on the high volume stuff so I can do okay on this stuff. And the other stuff I can sell and at least get my money out of, because a lot of times they won't sell you nothing unless you buy it all. So you have to make sure you know what you're doing and you've got your prices made. And this one is slick. And it's a type 2. So these Standing Liberty quarters, they have two different types, a type 1 and a type 2. The easiest way to tell is on the back, under the eagle, the stars. If it's got stars, it's a type 2. If there's no stars, it's a type 1. So be on the lookout for that. The type 1s bring a lot more value. And these are hard to find in good condition too. And like I said, Standing Liberty quarters, I remember they were really popular here, I think last year. And they're hard to find in good grades too. I mean, I've got a bag of probably like 40 of them besides these, and probably every one of them is low good. Like they're low grades. Some of them are just silver value. I mean, you can't make nothing out, barely. They're almost slick, like that one as well. I'll show you the back of them there. But they're hard to find in good condition. But I really like the Standing Liberty quarters. And that was a tough time during the 20s. The 1916 through 1930. Like those were some tough years. So a lot of that coinage was really wore. I got some nicer quarters here. Here's a 32S. And this had come out of one of the big collections I had bought. It's a 1932S. And the mint mark's down at the bottom there. So he had $175 on it. And I've not looked. I don't remember what that one's going for. But that's a key date. The 32D and the 32S are key dates of the Washington silver quarters. And that's a good set. I've not put a set together for the Washington quarters. I think I have all of them. Maybe not the 32D. I don't have it in here, and normally I put some of my better dates in here, but I've not. So I don't know if I've got that. But it's a good set to put together. And again, like this one was in a big set that I bought, and I had to buy the whole set to just get a few good key dates. But it was worth it. I made sure I didn't pay too much for the other stuff, so I would do good on this. And the proof sets, that's the big thing I see in these big sets. Everybody's got proof sets, and And again, like Silver Eagles, like your silver is a little different than numismatics because you can buy a volume of silver because you'll normally get a better deal. If you're buying $1,000 worth of Silver Eagles, you can probably get a better deal if you buy $1,000 versus $500. I mean, if you take off, if they're selling for say $30 a piece and you take $2 off each coin because you're buying a lot of them, well, you've saved $2 a coin. That adds up fast. So it is good to buy volume on silver. And you have to be more careful on numismatic stuff because you may get a lot of coals. You'll get a lot of stuff that's just face value. I've got a whole book in there of just face value, like bicentennial quarters, Kennedys, Sacagawea dollars, proof sets that aren't worth $4 and $5 or $6. A lot of that stuff is just it. I've paid for it and I've got money tied in it. So if I've got 100 proof sets and I've got $5 in each of them, that's $500 I've got tied up in those proof sets. So you have to be careful. Here's some seeded half dimes. I love anything seeded. Seeded half dimes, dimes, quarters. This one down here has got some nice blue toning on it. It's pretty nice. And like I said, they have lower mintage. Like here's one with a mintage of 100,000. That's low mintage. I mean, if you think about it, the 1893S Morgan silver dollar, it has a mintage of 100,000. So to me, this coin should be pretty expensive. It has the same mintage, and it's a lot smaller coin, but I wonder how many survived being a smaller coin. Now I feel like there's if it's a small coin, you're going to lose it easier. So, but I know that's not the case. But this is a Civil War era one. But it's not in too bad of shape. But that's low mintage to me. Anything in the low hundreds of thousands, anything under $1 million or 500,000 is low mintage. Especially if you get under 100,000, I feel like that's low mintage. Here's another one, 208,000, 712,000, and 208,000. So these hold their value pretty good. I love the seeded coinage. Here's some regular dimes. I'll show you this one. It's wild looking. It is a 1857 O. So that's pretty cool. And a lot of these I've bought, like I said, over the course of the last 15 years. And then in the last, I've really ramped up my type coins. I just fell in love with them, and I really started buying a lot of them in the last like 5, 6, 7 years. Here's one. This one's in good shape, but looks like it's been cleaned. It's got really good details, and it's actually that one looks really good, but it's been cleaned. You can see little scratches on the side. And it's in really good shape. That's probably AU detail, like AU details. Yeah. So that one's really nice. And like I said, I've got a lot of stuff tied up, a lot of money tied up in proof sets. Know what you're buying. Make sure you're getting your money's worth, or make sure it's just a good investment. And just, why are you buying? Like, why are you buying stuff? I mean, some people buy them because they're pretty and they like the design. Here's a page with some flying eagles, and I was on a flying eagle kick for a while. Every time I seen a flying eagle, I would buy it. And they only made them for a few years. Basically 57, 58. The 56 is rare. And after the large pennies, the large cents, they started making the flying eagles, and then they went to the Indian head. So this was kind of the transition. In the first year they made a small cent. So in my mind, how I was thinking was like, okay, they only made them for a few years. They're lower mintages. So they're going to be worth something one day. They're very collectible. And that's my numismatic brain thinking. Got some older Mercury dimes. I don't think there's any key dates on here. There's a 1916. Here's a 1916 that's wore out and you couldn't make anything out on it. The 1916Ds are the big key dates of the year, and the I believe 20 or 21s. Some of the harder years, or maybe 19s as well. Got a couple Indian or buffalo nickels at the bottom here. And speaking of the 1916Ds, that kind of to my other mistake that I had made, or didn't really make it, just didn't really know about it, was key dates and low mintage coins. They will always have a place in somebody's album or in somebody's collection. Key dates, and we're getting to some of my Morgans here. They're not my nicer ones, but they're just some I've put in here. Key dates. When you're buying coins, you can never go wrong with key dates or very low mintage coins, because they're rare. Rare coins are rare. So when you come across one, have a good deal, I do try to buy it, because there's somebody's album out there right now is missing a 1916D, and they're going to have to pay for it. They're not making any more of them. It was very low mintage. The survival rate is getting lower and lower every year. So I love finding good deals on key dates and low mintage coins. And one good thing I did do was I fell in love with Morgans. Like everybody else, everybody that's probably watching this, they have at least one or two Morgans, probably more, 10 or 20. If you're a big collector, because you love them. They're a silver dollar, almost an ounce of silver. They're just awesome. I mean, you cannot go wrong with the design. The silver Morgan dollar and the piece dollar are my two favorite. And you just can't go wrong with them. A couple of them I've got, these are, looks like mostly 21s down here. The last year they made them. They made them from 1878 up until 1904, and then they skipped a few years, and then they made them again in 1921, and then they started making the piece dollar at the end of 1921 through off and on 1934, I believe. So here's some of my Morgans, and honestly, the Morgans are what got me started coin collecting. Dad had some old coins, Mom had some old coins, and they were basically silver dollars, some buffalo nickels, and some mercury dimes. And here's an ode. Here's a key date. Here's a 19. If I can get it out. These have been in here a while, and it is stuck in here. There we go. And it is really wore. Got some green. A 1894 O, which the 93s, 94s, 95s, them are all better years. Really your 94s and 95s, 1894s and 1895s, them are your key dates. All the Carson Cities are a little better, or well, a lot better dates, or mintages, lower mintages. Your 1893S is your main key date out of the Morgans. And there's a lot of semi-key dates. A 1903 1899 Philly is a better date. That one's a New Orleans, but the 1899 reminded me. But when you're buying these, you need to know condition, mintage, quality, grade. I mean, here's 3 different grades, conditions, and I'll try to find one that has a little better. Like here is 3 different ones. Here's a 1896 O, and I like that condition. Like that's got good circulated condition wear on it. An album full of those would be really nice to look at. And this one's about wore out. It's got some tape residue on it. And then here's one that's been polished to death. I mean, it's reflective polish. So you just have to be careful. And honestly, like whenever I was buying a long time ago, I didn't really know the difference. Like I thought that was a good looking shiny coin. I didn't know it was cleaned, or I thought it was a silver dollar, and didn't even really know about mintages or like different mint marks. So just educate yourself on that. But a lot of these I've had for a long time, and they've just been in here. 1888 S, it's a lower mintage, but that one's got some wear on it. A lot of my key dates are in my Morgan albums, so that's why you won't see a lot of better dates in here. I'm trying to find one that has original luster to it. A lot of these are problem coins. These up top, I remember buying these and they had been in a house fire, and I had cleaned these myself because they were black, completely black, and I had tried to cut. There was like 2 or 3 that had been in a big house fire, and they're normal, like common dates, not 1921s. Like there's a lot of them made, and they were just hideous coins. So I really thought I couldn't do any more damage, so I would try to clean it up. I tried to dip one of them. It didn't dip good. I tried acetone. Acetone didn't really work, but I used a pencil eraser, which I would not suggest using pencil erasers to just go start cleaning your coins. Do not do that. That is stupid. But for this coin and in its condition, I done it. It cleaned it up quite nicely. I mean, it's a clean coin, but it's a lot better looking than what it was. It wasn't a key date. I would not use that technique on just any coin. I mean, this one was in bad shape. I mean, it's still not the best looking coin, but man, it looks so much better. And a lot of people used to do that. People would do that. They'd take old silver quarters and they'd just take a pencil eraser and they just would clean all the dirt and grime off of it, which they didn't really know what they were doing. And they didn't really know about clean coins or if they were taking the value away from it or not. So do not suggest doing that at all. Those coins were in a fire. They were badly damaged. So couldn't hurt them any worse. But here's some nicer Morgans. And I'll try to wrap it up here. And I'd kind of told you this over the course of the last 30-40 minutes of this video. I've told you about the mistakes I've made, and I still have an amazing collection. It has just cost me a lot of money, a lot of time, trial and error. I'm just trying to save you some money and some time by knowing what I know now that you may learn early on in your collecting career or stacking career. Just look for better conditions, lower mintages, better quality coins, and really ask yourself, why are you collecting? Here's some nicer CCs. Well, they're not in great shape, but there's some I've got in here. Here's 1890 CC. And that's one thing, I do try to pick up some nice Carson Cities. They're always going to have their value. A 96S, in a little better shape. But I've had these for a long time. Here's a nicer 21 with some luster left on it. If we can see it, my light is really bright, so there you can see it moving a little bit. So just try to find better deals, better condition coins, lower mintages, and really just ask yourself why you collect. And just be very careful, because this stuff can be very expensive. I've got a lot of money tied up in these coins. Here's some 1921 piece dollars. I have picked these up out of like the last 5 big collections I've bought. They had some 21s in it. And these have been a really nice addition to my collection because I love key dates, and I've really started focusing on more key dates and lower mintages and higher quality coins over volume. So the piece dollars, I love my piece dollars. I've got some really good condition ones, and you can see like these are just amazing condition. They have really nice luster on them, and you can find really nice 1922s, 23s in great condition. And this is just a portion of them. And listen, I have spent 10 years plus putting this collection together. Like, these are just kind of my odds and ends. My main album I just add stuff to. So I have spent a lot of time and a lot of money on these sets and getting all this together. And here in the very back, these are some of my favorites. Some seeded dollars, and these things are hard to find in good condition. They're mostly cleaned or just wore out, so I just want to show those. In the trade dollars, I've got a couple trade dollars, and these are just, like I said, I love the trade dollars. I think they're very undervalued, and you have to be so careful when you're buying them because it's probably one of the most counterfeited coins. So just be really careful if you're buying trade dollars or seeded dollars or just Morgans. So, and that comes back to educate yourself. Know what you're buying. Know how much it's worth. and just don't get trapped in a coin. Don't have more than what it's worth, because you may be stuck with it, holding it for a while, which is okay if you're collecting and you don't mind to do that, but just be careful. I'll try to put all this stuff back together. It's a big, thick album. I really appreciate you all a lot for hanging with me. I know this has been a long video. I hope you've learned something. I know I've kind of rambled on. Hope you've liked my collection here. Just please leave me a comment, a like, subscribe, please. And if there's anything you want to see that I've kind of just skimmed over real fast in my set here, my collection, let me know in the comments, and I'll go back to it, and we'll get a good video of it. Or if you want to see something closer up, let me know. But that's really it. I appreciate you all for staying with me. If you got any comments, let me know down below. Let me know what you thought about my collection, and what has been some of the mistakes you have made when collecting coins or stacking silver. I think it's just good to get the awareness out, and there's a lot of new people in the hobby, and I wish I knew then what I knew now. So let's try to educate some people and let them know, and they can try to avoid the expensive mistakes that we've made, because ignorance is expensive. It's going to cost you a lot of money. So the more you know, the less money you waste, and you can save a little bit. So I appreciate y'all. Hope y'all have a great night. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all again tomorrow. I've got another video coming out I'm putting together. So have a great night. Happy collecting.